come now to the part of the day that we always look forward to, and that's to get comments from those in the audience who would care to share any particular views with us.
Two mics in the center.
Okay, I would ask that you hold your comments to a max of 3 minutes, just out of courtesy to your other colleagues who may want to make comments. Phil, I'll ask you to be the enforcer and be tough. And I would ask that you not read something that you have in a written statement. Those could be submitted on the website, probably more conveniently for you and for us, but just an opportunity to speak out. We've got 30 minutes allotted for this, and if each person takes 3 minutes, that means we can cover 12 people with a 20% overrun. And we will limit this to 12 people. There are 2 microphones in the center aisle.
We're going to alternate first and then back.
Yeah, we are, but we're going to limit 6 people to each mic. So if you're number 7, send us an email or respond on our website. So with that, let's start out. We'll start out in the back. You please identify yourself and your affiliation.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you start.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tommy Battle, Mayor of the City of Huntsville, and you are on a path of determining the future of a lot of what we have been determining for the past 50 years. We had a number of people in the past who are citizens of this community, little guys who wore, and ladies, who wore white shirts, pocket protectors, multicolored pins, and they determined a route and found out how we could get ourselves to the moon. It inspired a whole generation. It inspired a lot of us. And today you are making a decision, or this week, or this month, you're making a decision on what our future is, what our future inspiration will be. We've had this past month, we've had multi-celebrations on the lunar landing. And the lunar landing to us has been described as mankind's most significant technological achievement. And I guess my question to you is, what will be our future achievements? Where will we go in the future? What will inspire our children? Is it going to be sports stars? Is it going to be musical stars? Or is it going to be people who actually take off and do the technological things that we have the capabilities of doing? This community has worked for 50 years doing that, and we stand prepared to do that for the next 50 years. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your work. And thank you, and I hope that you can give us something that will inspire us for the next 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. We'll go to the lower microphone.
Chairman, I promise not to read, but in the effort to try to stay on track, I will refer to my notes here if that's okay. My name is Shar Hendrick, and I'm serving as the Vice Chairman of the Tennessee Valley NASA Advocacy Committee. The Advocacy Committee was formed in the wake of our community's BRAC efforts when our BRAC committee said we needed a similar effort around informing policy for NASA and our civil space program as we go forward from a community perspective. Today, the committee consists of an array of companies, both large and small, that are engaged in the Ares 1 and Ares 5 projects, as well as several other undertakings for NASA. The companies represent both government space as well as commercial space efforts in the community. The Tennessee Valley NASA Advocacy Committee strongly endorses the NASA Constellation program and the current architecture we have. We believe it is critical to move forward with the development of U.S. capability to move humans beyond low Earth orbit. And while some have said it's time to revisit the ESAS study of 2005, we believe that would be a critical mistake given the fact that it would perhaps exacerbate the U.S. gap human spaceflight capability. Moreover, as a community steeped in launch vehicle heritage, we fully understand that any alternative architecture that's put forward will itself be wrought with technical and programmatic challenges as it moves from concept to actual systems development. We've seen that time and again. Currently, hardware is under development, successful tests are being conducted, and the entire system is making progress. We cannot stress enough the importance of providing continuity to both NASA and the industrial community as we move forward. The history of our efforts in launch over the past several years have been a start and stop approach, and it has clearly taken a toll on U.S. launch capability. While the committee endorses the moon as an important destination for the Constellation effort, we believe that by developing a robust launch and space transportation committee, that many new destinations become available for consideration. I would close my comments by simply saying it is also the hope of the Tennessee Valley NASA Advocacy Committee that we continue to encourage full utilization of the ISS through international partnerships, private and government investment and research, and as a valuable test bed for future exploration efforts. And to that end, we certainly appreciate the comments and reports that General Lyles presented. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll go to the upper microphone.
Yes, sir. Mr. Augustine, my name is Dennis Wingo. I work in advanced technology. I work with NASA, the Defense Department, DARPA. I've also authored books on the economic development of the moon and the solar system. I've written, co-authored books with the National Defense University on space power theory on that same theme. I stood before you just a few miles from here in 1990 as a fairly angry young student, wondering why in the world that 20 years after Apollo 11 that we still hadn't gone back to the moon. It's 19 years later and I'm not any happier. I look at the reports that have gone forth in the past. Sally Ride's Ride Report, Tom Stafford's Synthesis Group, your Augustine Commission of 1990, the Aldrich, all of these other reports and commissions. And the question that would go to you is, what are you going to do that is different than what was done then and what never was accomplished? Because all of those reports, if you look at it in their recommendations in the historical context, can be considered historical failures. We want your commission to be a success. And when the vision for space exploration was announced by President Bush, it was an incredible departure towards the economic development of the solar system, as Dr. Marburger presented. And I, as a public speaker speaking around the nation and around the world, have found that that theme resonates with both the American people and our international audiences. Where unfortunately it did not resonate was with the agency and in the implementation of the ESAS architecture. You would not be here today if the ESAS architecture that is currently being implemented by NASA was all roses and light. So therefore, my question and my, not question, but my statement to you is, you have, and your team has a historical opportunity as well as responsibility to not only our generation, but to the generations yet unborn, to come up with a set of options that our political leaders can buy off on and pay for, because as we've seen here, both by Dr. Wright and others, the current architecture as it is being implemented is not fundable because we're already over budget and behind years and years and years. We must come up with something that our Congress and our President and our nation can get behind. It's not money. We've been blowing trillions of dollars on economic recovery in the past few months. The American people will support something that is in the best interest of our future, but it has to be in the best interest of our future, not some parochial interest. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Yes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Barbara Cohen. I'm a planetary scientist. I work for Marshall. I'm speaking today as a private citizen. I have 15 years of experience working with lunar samples, with meteorites, with the Mars rovers, Spirit and Opportunity. Who doesn't love those? And I love the other destinations ideas, but I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about lunar science itself. I keep coming back to lunar science as a planetary scientist because lunar science is planetary science. The moon functions like a planet. It's got a crust, a mantle, and a core, just like Mars, just like Venus, all the terrestrial planets. It's got lava flows, fire fountains. It's got current moonquakes today. It's still acting like a planet. Lunar science is fundamental to planetary science, and understanding the moon helps us understand all terrestrial planets. Another good thing about the moon, it's not just any moon, it's our moon. And the Earth and the moon formed together. They have a common history. When we want to learn about what happened on the Earth back in time before we erased our crust, we go to the moon. It's all there for us to read. All the craters that formed on the moon that you can see when you look at it, they had counterparts here on the Earth back in time. We don't see them today. If we want to learn what the bombardment history of the Earth was like, we go to the moon to find that. So the moon is a fantastic world. It's a wonderfully diverse, geologically active body. And to explore it's not going to be very easy. You can need a mix of robotic missions, sample return missions. There are some things that only humans in the field can do. We know that. And so I urge you not to overlook lunar science as part of your deliberations. There's a 2007 National Academies report, The Scientific Context for the Exploration of the Moon. If you don't have that, I'm happy to provide that to you. I hope that goes into your mix so that you understand the richness of the moon and the opportunity that exploration affords to us to build a new scientific community, one that's young, international, excited about the moon. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We'll go to the upper microphone.
Commissioner and the panel, my name's Homer Hickam. I am a former NASA engineer, retired NASA engineer, and I write a little bit. You might recognize me. I wrote that book called Rocket Boys. They made that movie called October Sky. You recognize me because I look a lot like Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm sure. I was invited to come over today to say hello to you, and most of all, I just want to welcome you to Huntsville, the Rocket City. I hope you've had a good day here. I've been paying attention and watching over the internet, and I must say that I'm very, very proud of the Rocket Girls and Rocket Boys out at Marshall Space Flight Center. They've given some wonderful presentations today. I learned a lot just watching it. But besides the content, I hope you caught up on the passion of these folks. Huntsville, the Rocket City, we've always been passionate about the space program. We're all space junkies here. We're all ready to go. We want to go somewhere. That's the main thing. You know, Werner von Braun, 40 years ago, he was carried on the shoulders of Huntsville. A lot of folks were dancing in the courthouse square about Apollo 11. And Dr. von Braun told the folks of Huntsville, well, don't put your dancing shoes up quite yet. We got some more dancing to do in space. People of Huntsville, the folks out at Marshall Space Flight Center, we're ready to put our dancing shoes back on. And I think, if I'm hearing everybody right, most of the folks, we kind of want to put our moon boots on when we go dancing. The moon is a symbol that we can see, all of us, every day. When I go back up to West Virginia, we have an annual October Sky Festival. I talk to teachers, talk to students, I talk to just plain folks. I talk about the shuttle, I talk about the International Space Station. They like that. When I talk about going back to the moon, you can just see their eyes light up. So that's where I kind of think that we ought to go. But mainly, I think we ought to go somewhere. We need to build the rockets to make it happen. If you're going to be a great nation, you got to do great things. Going back to the moon and on to Mars, that's a great thing in my consideration, and I hope you think so too.
Thank you for sharing those remarks. Sir.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Steve McCamey, and I live here in the Huntsville area. I work for a NASA contractor, and I've been involved in a lot of the studies that came before this architecture, during this architecture, after this architecture. And I want to disagree with Mr. Wingo. I think we'd be here today no matter what we came up with, because quite frankly, the commitment to what we are doing has been lacking. And it wouldn't have mattered which architecture we came out of the ESAS study with. I think we'd be right here today looking at it because the commitment to follow through with it just hasn't been there. We've been asked to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. And I know that your charter doesn't includes trying to come up with a solution that fits within the current budget, but I honestly don't believe that that solution exists. I think that it's going to require some more commitment. One thing that struck me, I've got several small children. I like to read the landmark history books to them. I just finished reading the stories of both Columbus and Magellan, and I thought it was interesting that the Portuguese had the opportunity to sponsor both of those expeditions, turned them down, sent them to Spain. The Spanish, at least for Columbus's expedition, formed a commission to look at it. And that commission's recommendation was that they not fund it. I have more faith in this commission. Thanks.
And thank you for those comments. Sir.
Sure. My name is Michael Mealing. I'm with Maston Space Systems. We're a small VTVL suborbital launch company in Mojave, California. We're looking at building a spacecraft to allow K through 12 education and kids like that to be able to fly space missions the way NASA does right now. One of the things I'd like to suggest the Commission take a look at when you're looking at your figures of merit is the non-government portion of our GDP that the space industry produces. I was involved in the internet early back in the 1990s, and I watched the National Science Foundation exit from running the internet backbone at the time. They lost a core competency to run the internet, and that was a good thing because within a year after that, Netscape had an IPO, and it was very obvious that the internet was going to become a new industry. New industries are something that America is good at creating. NACA created the aviation industry. We created the computing industry, and we created the internet industry. If the Commission takes a look at the flexible path approach, the scenario, coupled with the focus on depots, and integrating commercial services as tightly as possible into that, you end up having the opportunity to create another industry and one that America leads in. Because we have the talent, we just need to be able to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit that we have in this country and build a new industry. Thank you.
Thank you. We are hear as many people comment as we can. We do have an airplane that's going to leave us. So if you're in the back of the line, if anybody else comes up, we'll list everybody in line. But if somebody else comes, if you would tell them that we're going to have to cut the line off with the folks that are there now. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Dave Williams. I'm the president of the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Like research universities around the nation, we face challenges in attracting the next generation of young men and women into the science, technology, and engineering fields. Here in Huntsville, we're extraordinarily fortunate. Thousands of such young men and women come through space camp here in this very building. They are attracted by 30 and 40-year-old artifacts. They're inspired by them. Just think how much more inspired they would be by the next generation of Moon and Mars flight artifacts. We still need thousands more inspired men and women to join the future workforce in science and engineering if this country is to maintain its lead and compete effectively in the global economy. By bringing human spaceflight back beyond low Earth orbit, you can help make that happen. At the next level, attracting graduate students and postdocs in the same fields. A generation ago in the post-Apollo glow, thousands of such students came to this country. I was one of them, to work on the next generation of aerospace alloys, which right now are being welded over at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center. It's cutting-edge technology that so often is a product of the most difficult challenges that we face that attracts the best minds for the future research in this country. If the best research is in Darmstadt or Bangalore, that's where the next generation of graduate students and postdocs will go. If it's here in this country, many will continue to come here, ITAR notwithstanding. Thank you very much.
And thank you. Sir.
I'm Tim Pickens. I own Orion Propulsion. I started it about 5 years ago. I'm from Huntsville, and I've got a small business here, and we're actually working on Ares upper stage with Boeing, and we're about a third DOD, a third commercial, and about a third NASA. It's been an interesting few years. I actually had the opportunity to go to Mojave and work on Spaceship One and work propulsion, so I understand what it's like to be part of a commercial effort that completes. In fact, I used to go watch some X-Corps tests there with Jeff Greason, and very excited about the industry, and so that's why I started a business. And I knew that I couldn't have a pure commercial model unless I had a sugar daddy, and I don't. So it's me and the wife. We have to secure these loans, and everything's very personal running a small business. You know, we don't have investors and whatnot. So it's been quite a culture change to, say, put an AS9100 quality system within a small R&D company to do production on things like Bigelow. You know, we actually built propulsion system for Bigelow's Sundancer. And on the NASA side, we're doing, you know, roll thruster work with NASA and Boeing. So one thing I'm kind of noticing, this whole uncertainty thing is a very disruptive environment to my small business. People wondering, you know, what's going to happen. And as a business owner, you know, I have to ask myself these questions and look at contingencies. And as I'm out here working in the community, some folks know that I like to get involved in education, maybe a little too much sometimes, but the point is the kids like to see things getting completed. You know, we need to. I picked the lane of building hardware because I wanted to be competitive with the world. The old business model, the Cold War model that is so expensive, we have to break that model and to be world competitive. And that's why I started this business. But we need to pick a lane, and we need to finish something we start, because it's the kids that are looking to go into these fields of engineering. You know, they really wonder: can it sustain itself? Are we ever going to get to complete things? Some of my best engineers, they have the most fun when they get to work with the hardware they design and get to see tests and look at data and stuff. So I just want you to just kind of understand the perspective of a small business guy who don't have infinite resources, but I do believe in the vision of space exploration, and I just wanted to share that. Appreciate it.
We appreciate sharing your viewpoint with us. Please.
Good afternoon. My name is Rhonda Cox, and I'm a high school math teacher from Illinois and a summer employee here at the U.S. Space and Rockets Center. I work with teachers in the summer doing professional development with them. I have to tell you that when I talk about the Constellation program with my students, I've had high school students actually say things like, "That is so cool." And I've talked to fourth graders, and I've told them that you are the perfect age to be the first person to walk on Mars, and you should see their eyes light up. It is just an amazing thing to witness. Teachers know that nothing motivates children to excel in math, science, technology, and engineering like the promise of space exploration. You know, here we are sitting in Huntsville, the rocket city, the place where von Braun made his childhood dreams come true. And I think we all know that his dreams motivated many, many young people to work harder and to reach farther. The shadow of that rocket out there is a testament to the hard work of thousands of people, and quite frankly, that shadow is also an inspiration to tens of thousands of teenagers and younger children who dream of their generation stepping on a new world. NASA inspires children to dream extraordinary dreams and gives them the reality that they can make those dreams come true. We should continue to give our children the encouragement and hope that they can achieve anything that they put their mind to. The challenge of space also honestly motivates me as an educator to do a better job in the classroom. As an educator, the promise of landing a human explorer on Mars motivates me to do my job much, much better and to give the kids the skills that they need to achieve anything that they put their mind to. NASA gives them the dream, and educators give them the tools. I think it is time that we give our young people the opportunity to live up to the challenge that Harrison Schmitt gave when he said, "I think the next generation ought to accept this as a challenge. Let's see them leave footprints like these." And I'd like to add that I'd like them to be on the red soil of Mars. Thank you.
Thank you. As a high school math teacher, you're one of my heroes. Let's see, we seem to be adding people here, which we can't keep doing, so I'm going to start counting. We will be able to listen to 5 more people, and I really feel badly to do that. We do have a website. We take emails. We take letters by the U.S. mail. I'd love to hear from everybody, but only 5 more today, or we're going to have to walk to the Cape tonight. Sir.
My name is Ray Moses. I'm a retired space engineer. 50 years ago, Arthur Clarke proposed that we build elevators to space. The science fiction story I found totally unbelievable because there was no material around that would be anywhere near suitable for building such an elevator. However, progress has occurred in the last 50 years, and the aerospace companies are now going from metal to composites on their vehicles. When I tried to check to see what NASA was doing in this area, I called the PI, the Public Information Office, and they said they were going to get me back to me, but there's no carbon nanotube data, as far as I know, or work being done by NASA at this point. I highly recommend that a program using carbon nanotube composites be established by NASA and be expanded, and I recommend that this program be done for 2 reasons. One, you could get vehicles that weigh about an order of magnitude less than the one you've got today, which means that the cost of space would go down dramatically. And the other one is, eventually, you could start by building the space elevator on the moon to the inner Lagrangian point. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be able to hear from 4 more folks, please.
Good afternoon. My name is David Ward, and I am a Space Camp counselor here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, as well as a student at Georgia Institute of Technology. Many years ago, as a young child, I had a dream of becoming a rocket scientist, using my afternoons to build model rockets and model airplanes. This led me to a trip to Space Camp in the year 2000, where the briefings, presentations, and the simulated shuttle missions solidified my inspiration to become a flight engineer in aerospace engineering. Later, in high school, I learned with hands-on experience by restoring my 1987 Toyota Supra. I used all my stepdad's tools and techniques to clean and refurbish each part by hand, much to his amazement, using every square inch of the garage, much to my mother's dismay. Then I went on to become an aerospace engineering student at Georgia Institute of Technology. I also joined the aerospace design team as a freshman, and we went on to build an award-winning airplane, winning the award for most weight lifted and second overall in an international competition of over 30 teams. 2 years later, I received a message letting me know that there was a position open as a counselor here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to share the inspiration that I received at Space Camp with the children of today. Now, 7 months later, I have led teams of scout troops, general space campers, and school groups through the wondrous grounds of the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, showing them the amazement that I discovered as a young child right here at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, all inspired by our country's greatest asset, our manned spaceflight program. And I would like to leave you with this thought. In 2 short weeks, I will retire from my wondrous position as a space camp counselor and be returning to Georgia Institute of Technology to finish my career as a student and to one day finish my dreams of becoming a rocket scientist. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Sir.
My name is Andy Welton. I'm a physics major at the University of Tennessee currently, and I guess along with a lot of people that have been in line today, I've been inspired by NASA to be where I am today. I've spent my entire life with this dream of being an astronaut and a NASA employee, and it has been the sole driving force, basically, behind all the hard work that I've put in to get where I am today. And I just wanted to stand up here and convey that to you, and I guess make sure you think inspiration and any recommendations you make, that would be one of the most important things that I would want to consider if I were in your place. So Godspeed, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for that thought, sir.
I'm Yoshi Takahashi, professor of physics at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. My written comment was rather short, that we are going to miss the delivery capability of the large payload on space station from 2010 to 15 or beyond. That just the Orion may make an astronaut go up, and that the Soyuz can carry astronauts, but that the space shuttle was such a marvelous vehicle, and it was monumental historical doings of that delivering very difficult satellites securely and perfectly from space shuttle with the help of human wisdom of astronauts. And the communication was marvelously made for the last 6 years. Now we are going to lose it, and the shuttle's beauty is that it has a human, very much well supported by the ground human as well, and heavy lifting capability and a big payload available for that best use of the space into the space exploration or the universe exploration. Hubble telescope was one of the good example for serviceable, and it was well serviced, and that's the Chandra satellite and that Gamma Ray Observatory, all these very large space vehicles were delivered and were operated. And that is what we are going to lose for almost 5 to 10 years in space. I had a project of European Space Agency approved and NASA funded that for the space station payload of 2.5 meter telescope looking at the Earth, and that was built and designed at Huntsville. And unfortunately, the Columbia accident deprived of all these capabilities because of no manifest available. And in that case, that we should give up all these beautiful human space programs, shuttle delivered in the past, but that we thought there are European ATV and Japanese HTV, which is unmanned spacecraft carrying the large payload. However, ATV exit point is only something like 40, less than 30, 40 inches, and 2.5 meter doesn't fit. The Japanese HTV fit somehow to that. Therefore, that we negotiated with the Japanese Space Agency from Huntsville, using the Japanese colleagues in Japan, and it is in the serious design study completed and would be evaluated in a month or two. And I believe that this is a case that to revitalize the almost dead project of international large cooperative mission into space station with astronauts helping for mounting that one. Just the Japanese space station module external payload facility was mounted just last week or this week, and will be that active for about 5 to 10 years. I think that U.S. It is U.S. who started the space shuttle great program of having the best use of human resources and the large instrument, and we should not lose it. And I hope the committee will address some of the remedy or the alternative for us to be able to do in the next 10 years without losing that great capability historically manifested by space shuttle experiments. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Sir, you get the last word.
Where they have to bend the technologies
synonymous in the public eye with the genesis of new and unbelievable, even miraculous technology. And it is a position that is absolutely invaluable. It's a function that is irreplaceable. And to cut in space exploration is to say, essentially, that we've solved every problem we would care to solve about humans. And that cuts off our development as a race and species. And I really think I'm sorry, how much? I just really want to, in conclusion, say that investing in manned space exploration forces us to overcome new technical challenges that are basic and fundamental to human beings, things that robots cannot duplicate. Those challenges keep us sharp in the same way that school forces children to solve problems and learn about themselves in the process and about their world. And if we were to consign all of that to robotic exploration or cut it entirely, I think we would be losing a very important aspect of what makes us who we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that completes the public input.
Norm, can I make a comment just to add a little controversy here? I didn't have to cut off one commenter today, but in Houston, I had to cut off every commenter. So I'm going to leave that for the media to make whatever you want out of that.
And the representative of the Houston papers, be sure to quote him, not me. Well, we have reached the end of, I think, what's been a very useful, helpful day for us. And I certainly wanted to thank all the audience from wherever you come. Particularly thank the NASA folks who have taken time. You have great responsibilities, a big one coming up this Friday as well as what's going on now. And our committee will be meeting again tomorrow at the Cape. We'll be meeting next week in Washington. As I said, our schedule is such that by August 31st we will have a printer-ready report. The report will go to the White House and also to the administrator of NASA. As you know, I believe I said, we've been asked to provide options for the President and for the Congress upon which to base a decision, and we will be doing exactly that. I think you will perhaps agree that ours is not an easy job. Frankly, it's not one that any of us asked for, but the one thing I'd like to assure you on behalf of everybody at this table, including Sally, who had a long-term commitment she had to take this afternoon, I just would want to assure you we're going to do our very, very best to do what's good for America and good for America's space program. So with that, thank you all very much for your courtesy in listening today, and we wish you all well.